Rose. Welcome back to my channel. There's a lot of wind in the background because it is very windy out today. My windows are like frozen solid, and then I have my heater on to try to melt the windows, and yeah, that is what is happening right now. It is Friday, which means it is the second video about my new project. So basically I'm just going to be going over like specifically what I'm going to try to be doing, what the plan is, and then I'm going to be going over a little bit about the project that I am working on, kind of the backstory behind the idea. So the plan is to release episodes every Tuesday. The goal is to release episodes on my blog, on Wattpad, and on Inkit. All will be linked down in the description below, so you can check them out, whichever platform you want to read on. But if you want to comment, you can comment on your phone on Wattpad and Inkit. I'm fairly certain, but if you want to comment on my blog, you will have to do it on a desktop, I believe. I don't think it'll let you comment from a phone, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's just the way that it works. And yeah, the blog is going to be like that, is the one story that's on the blog. So if you want it to be easier to find, you can find it there. As soon as I start posting, I'll link everything though, so they should all be pretty easy to find on all platforms. But yeah, if you prefer Wattpad or if you prefer Inkit, you can read on those as well. And yes, so that will be every Tuesday. Then I do plan on going live and reading out the episode aloud on Fridays. So that's going to be where I will read the episode probably first, and then I'll talk a little bit about the process that went into writing this particular episode, kind of a little bit of like a vlog, but in a sit-down form. I think that's what I'm going to be doing. This is the plan. It may change. And yeah, so the episodes, I'm going to start posting the episodes on the first Tuesday of February, I think, which I believe is the 7th. Episodes are probably going to be around 2,000 words, but they could be less, so they could be closer to 1,000 words, or they could be a little bit longer, they could be closer to 3,000 words. And yes, I think that's it, and the episodes will be published weekly. Alrighty, and then the actual story idea itself. So the story idea itself, it started off, I don't remember when I came up with this idea. I was probably 13 or 14. It's been in my head a long time. And I just had this idea about a girl who could see ghosts. Don't remember how I got the idea. I don't remember why I started writing it down, but I wrote probably 1,000 words of it or so. And it was basically just like a prologue. It was very bad, it was very telly, and it was just from this girl's point of view, and she was having this argument with someone. Actually, I think it was a prologue first, and it was just like, this is what happens, I can see ghosts, and I want to help people, but no one believes me. Just something weird like that. And then I changed it so she was in middle school, and she was having this conversation with her, her principal. I was like, your grades are failing, and she's like, well, I can see ghosts, I'm hearing gunshots and screams. If you did, you would be bad at school too, or something along those lines. And she's like, no one believes me. And then I don't think the principal acted how an actual principal would act, but he was just like, okay. And then I don't know if she got off scot-free. And then she walks out of the principal's office, and then there's the class clown that was waiting for her, because obviously that makes sense. He was just out of school when everyone else was in a classroom, and he was like, what was it? I think he was asking if she got expelled yet. She's like, nope. It's like, despite her best efforts. And then, what was it? He was telling her that his grandfather had been murdered, and she was like, oh, I know. And then she's like, I study all of the murders of all of the students here. Like, anyone who had a grandparent or a parent or some family member who was murdered, like, I know about all of them, because she was just a weird child. And then he was like, so you'll help? And she'd be like, you believe me? Yeah, sure, I'll help. And so then they were supposed to go and on a mystery and figure out why his grandfather was murdered. So of course I had to figure out why the grandfather was murdered and plant clues and whatnot. So the summer, I want to say of, was it this summer? Was it this July? No, it wasn't this July. I think it was the July of 2021. I did Camp July, and I was trying to write 100,000 words in the month of July, and one of the projects that I decided to work on was the ghost girl, the ghost scene girl, and what was it? Sorry, I did want to give a little bit more information about that, or I just thought of something. So she could see like the last 24 hours of a ghost's life, so she could see like exactly what happened to figure out how to solve the mystery, but she could also tell you, like, she would see it play out like a misty movie, but she could also tell you like who is dead and who is still alive, if any perpetrators were still alive. So that was kind of cool. That was going to be how I was going to figure out the mystery, but I decided to write it out in July, and it did not end up being 100,000 words. I don't even know if it was like 50,000 words. I don't remember how long this took, and the first part of it was great. I decided to take it from the guy's point of view, so instead of being from the ghost girl's point of view, it was going to be from the guy's point of view. So we had his backstory. We saw him with his grandfather, and then we saw him later with his parents, and then meeting Destiny, and then that was the girl's name. And then they went on this adventure to find the murderer, but instead of being all kind of like dark and mysterious like it kind of was in the first, like the prologue, I ended up, it took a turn, and it was just kind of like very light and fluffy, and it wasn't the vibe that I wanted it to be. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna like scrap all of that, and I think I'm scrapping most of it now because I sort of had ideas for it, but I was talking about my dad, or talking about it with my dad, and because this was such a kid idea, like I wasn't really going from the perspective of someone who would actually have to live through these things. And so I think we've come up with a different kind of direction that I'm gonna go with this, and I'm really excited. I'm gonna do a little bit more research and a little bit more brainstorming. I will take you guys along during that, or probably just sit down and talk like this. And yeah, so that was the backstory of the idea. I had written it out a couple of times, or I had like read it aloud. I had given it to a person, and they all really liked this idea, and so I'm really excited to kind of like write it for those people that I showed when I was still, I guess I'm still a teenager, but you know, when I was a lot younger. And yeah, this idea, it's been kind of a small idea that's just been in my brain for a while. It hasn't been as close to me as some other ideas, but I'm really excited to finally get it out into the world and serialize it and see what happens with it. I think I am going to kind of pants this story a little bit more, like really, it just needs to work. Each episode needs to work as a whole. I still kind of want to do some broad plotting, but we shall see what happens. That is the wind. Yeah, I think that's everything. If you guys are excited about this idea, if you could follow along with it, because I kind of went on along. There's a lot. That's kind of how it started off. It's going to be different now. So if you guys are interested in ghosts and true crime like I am, I'm definitely going to be putting the supernatural and true crime together, because I'm interested in both of those things. It was funny because when I first came up with this idea, I was like, I have such a dark imagination, and it really wasn't at the time, and now I'm very much into true crime and dark creepy things. But yeah, it's always been the fascination, I think, is what I wrote, has always been a part of me. So I'm very excited about this idea, this story, and yeah, that is all from me right now. I hope you guys enjoyed and are excited for this serial as much as I am, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!